All right, if everybody's ready, we'll start with Jeremy from Sky Sports News.
Hi Roy.
Jeremy, you are.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
News for this one. Édouard had to come off at Leeds. Is he going to be okay to start at Southampton?
Oh, he wasn't injured when he came off. It was just a substitution that we thought was the right time to get some fresh legs onto the field and give someone else a taste of first team football, as it were. But he wasn't injured, so we've been very fortunate with the player we have lost this week. Is Nathaniel Klein. He's felt his knee, so unfortunately we won't have the benefits of Nathaniel for this game. Although we don't believe that either is going to be a long-term injury, but when the knee flares up a little bit, it's kept him out of training for the last 3 days, so he can't play tomorrow. But Chris Richards has come back now from his injury, so it's a straight swap.
Too early for Wilf and Vicente, of course, but when
Yes.
can we expect them back, do you think?
Well, dangerous to say, but both are making very good progress. There's no doubt about that. And I think they certainly, both of them, will be targeting games at the end of this month. That's their target, but have to be careful. I mean, they have to be cleared by the medical people, and they realise that. But if it's purely up to them, they'll be chomping at the bit to play at the end of April.
With Palace have won 3 straight Premier League games since you were last in charge here. If you do win at Southampton, how confident would you be about survival?
Yeah, if we were to win at Southampton, which is no easy task, and it's much easier to talk about it than actually do it, then there's no doubt that will have a great effect on our confidence, because it would take us up to 36 points and still give us 7 games to get the extra points that we need. So it would be a massive boost, but we're going to have that in most of the games going forward. Now from the platform of 33 points, I think with 8 games to go, there's going to be a lot of games where we're going to be saying, if we could just win this next one, we might be able to breathe more easily. But let's get the games done first, and let's make certain that we keep going into the games with the right attitude and believing that we haven't done the job until that day, when, as the Americans so aptly put it, the fat lady sings, and that's a long way off yet.
The first 2 results, though, have been amazing, astonishing. In fact, the team yourself must be confident now that you can do this, given what's happened in those 2 games.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, when I was asked to take the job for this period of time, I was pretty confident then, looking at the group and knowing the players as I do, and having watched some of the younger ones I don't know so well, but seeing what talent they obviously have, because the club's recruited well, I was pretty confident then that this club should be able to do this. But to be honest, that everyone says that. Every manager who's gone in, especially as has happened recently, there's been a lot of changes with people coming in either on an interim basis, like Dean and Frank, or Selles taking over at Southampton. All, and Sean Dyche when he took over Everton. Everyone was saying what we're saying now. Yeah, we're confident. We've got the players to do this. We've got the ability to do this. But you can talk about that as much as you like. It doesn't alter one fact, and that fact is that unless you can produce the performances on a Saturday or Sunday and win matches, all the talk is going to be in vain. So we're very much aware of that. We don't talk too much in those terms. We prepare each game and we try to produce the right performance for each game, and then we do have a sort of belief and faith that if we can do that, it will help us survive.
Just 2 more, if I may. Some of the players look revitalised. I know you, Elise and Eze. What have you done to spark them the way you have?
I think it's a myth that managers and coaches can spark players. I think that you can inspire to some extent. I think you can maybe help a little bit with confidence, and helping with confidence also means really making certain that players are comfortable with what they're being asked to do on the field and fully understand their role in relation to the team role. So that's our job, and always will be our job. But I think that if you're lucky enough to get some joy in that area, then the players spark themselves, if you like, and if they've been having a bit of a down period, they can come back to life a little bit. But let's not forget, it's not easy when you're losing matches on a regular basis, when the results are not going your way. The criticism, especially outside the club, is building up. That becomes very, very hard, because people are human beings. So these 2 matches have helped us enormously, coming in as we did, Ray and I, to find this group of players that we thought looked good, and wasn't too difficult to tell them that we think they look good and we think they've got the ability. But it's these two results, of course, that give people that real spark, that real boost to go out and do it week after week.
Just finally, this looks like must-win for Southampton. They're in a real mess at the bottom. Can that play into your hands?
Well, it can go either way. There's no question of that. You know, must-win games. What happens to them, as you're rightly suggesting, they can bite you as well, because you think we've got to win it, so therefore we've got to go all out, and we've got to go all out in attack. And then if the team you're playing against is clever and good on the counter attack, they swallow up your attacks and then they hurt you on the counter attack. So that possibility exists, but then the other possibility also exists, that intensity and desire and fierceness they will bring to the game, because they see this as, if not the last chance, one of the very last chances. That can make it difficult for you to find the composure you need and the quality you need to see that off. So what we can say quite certainly is it's going to make for a good scenario going into the game, and it could produce a very interesting and good game of football, because we're so far away from both teams not bothering too much about the result, or one team having such an advantage in terms of their league position that they can happily even accept a defeat despite the fact they wouldn't be expected to be defeated.
Thanks, good luck.
My pleasure, thanks.
Dan from PLP.
Roy, good to see you.
Yeah.
The side's response last weekend, 1 down to win 5-1 at Ellen Road. Did you have to get a few of the lads off the roof and settle a few down quite quickly Monday morning?
I was probably expecting to, but actually they're a much more mature group than that. Even the younger ones who are perhaps you could forgive for being like that. That's not the way they are. So it wasn't difficult to do that. And what's more, I don't know that as a coach you should be working that hard to get people down off roofs when they're doing very well. We do our work and we work hard to try and get these type of results, these type of days, when really it's gone so well for you. I think one is entitled to allow oneself and the players a little bit of joy in their life, and a feeling of not only satisfaction but even quite satisfaction, pride, perhaps more than satisfaction in what they've done. But nobody here working at Palace is being carried away by the result. It was a good result after a good performance, and that's the ideal scenario if you're a manager or a coach. That's what you want. You want a good performance and you want it to lead to a good result. That's the perfect day. So we've had the perfect day, but we know that this is a new day and everything starts from scratch, and it doesn't matter how good you've been over the last matches, you've got to get out and do it again. So I don't think I'm concerned that we aren't going to see a Crystal Palace team that is aware of that and understands that. I can only hope that they can produce the level of performance which will give us a chance to beat a team like Southampton, who are not an easy team to beat.
I'm sure you were thinking best case scenario on day one on your return, but 2 wins in a week. It's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, well, to be fair, if I was just to think about the daily life, the daily work here, the environment, the pleasure that I can take from working with this group of players and the people around me that I've worked with for so long, I think I probably would have been able to say I'm glad to be back anyway. You're even more glad when you get some results which give you that nice feeling of security, as it were. But I don't know that I would have been, at this early stage, with 8 games to go, particularly disenchanted with anything after the 2 games, even if they hadn't gone quite as well. The fact they've gone so well is a massive bonus, really.
You've spoken about the value of confidence, but I imagine no one player is the same to another. So are you and your staff always working, always thinking about different ways to, as you said, help the players spark themselves, find confidence?
Well, that's our job. I mean, the job of the football player is to go on the football field and do what he's been brought into the football club to do, to produce the performances, to show the skills and the talent for which he's been recognised and brought to the club. And it's his job to make certain that on Saturday afternoon he's ready to do that. And as you hear managers and coaches say so many times. You know, we can accept a lot of failings, but what we can't accept is people who are not giving their all, not taking the job as serious as they should, and not showing everybody that they're trying their level best, really, in order to produce a good performance. So our job is really a simpler one in the sense that we've just got to get them ready for that. We've got to get them prepared for that. So everything we do in training, with the way we speak to them, of course, but also with the sessions that we put on and the type of things we're asking of them, all of that has really got just one goal ahead, and that is to make certain that when the players go out on Saturday afternoon to play the next game, they feel ready, they feel comfortable, they feel, yes, we know what we're going to do today, I know what the coach wants from me, I know what's expected of me, I feel confident I can do it, because that's what I'm brought in to do, that's why they sign me. And our job really is no more complicated than that, but that is our job, and it's a job that we take very, very seriously, and a job that we're going to continue to take seriously in the hope we can get a few more good performances from the players.
Funny for myself, Ruben Selles at Southampton, similar to a number of you have taken on a challenge in the Premier League that tests you to the maximum, I suppose. The relegation fight, the strain, the scrutiny it puts on all of you, I imagine, is almost difficult to describe, isn't it?
Well, I think the strain, the stress varies from person to person, so it's impossible for me to talk about any, pardon me, any strain or stress that Ruben might be feeling. I wouldn't even presume to talk about that. But I think you need to recognise, and it's not just at the Premier League, it can be down in the Division 2 and National League, don't worry about that. When you take on that task of, I'm going to be the person to manage, coach this team, I'm going to be the one that people are going to look to and blame if the results don't go the right way. I'm the one who's going to have to face the criticisms of the way I'm working or the way the team is playing. You have to accept, I think, that that's going to bring a lot of stress and strain with it. And if you're not capable, I suppose, of with eyes wide open, trying to deal with that stress the best you can, then you're never going to have a chance of succeeding at the job.
Thank you. Jeremy, could you pass the mic across, please? Thank you. Okay, Savi from BBC Radio.
Hi, Roy.
Hi.
Just looking at your first two games in charge, last-minute winner against a relegation rival, followed by a 5-1 win against another relegation rival. You've been in the business a long time, but have you ever had a more satisfying first two games in charge of a managerial spell?
I mean, when you've had the amount of games I've had and so many clubs, you really are testing my memory out on that one. So I think I have to shy away from the question and rely on someone to come up with a few scenarios and say, well, how does it compare with Halmstad and Malmö and Neuchâtel and the Swiss national team? Yes, the closest would be with the Swiss national team when we started with a thumping away win and then beat Scotland, who were one of the favourites to qualify at home in a very good game. That was a good start to the Swiss national team attempts to get to the World Cup, but that was in the qualifiers. If I take the first two games with Switzerland that I took over in friendlies, it was a disaster.
Odsonne Édouard came down from Celtic with quite a big reputation beginning of last season. I think it's safe to say he's not been as prolific as he could have been. He worked really hard against Leicester and didn't score, and saw Mateta score the winner. And then you started in the next game and he did score. How important is it for his confidence that he scored in that game? And do you believe he's the sort of player who can go on to be a top striker in this division?
Well, there's no doubt that both he and Mateta have got the qualities to become, good strikers in the Premier League. Otherwise, I'm certain they would never have been brought to the club, or bought for the club, I should say, brought to it. I think that's fortunate for us that Mateta in a very small period of time showed that he can score a goal, and it's nice now that Odsonne Édouard shows I'm a goal scorer too, and that's what they both got to do. We need goals. You can't survive and you can't take points without scoring goals. A large burden for goal scoring in every team falls upon the centre forwards, the people who've been brought in to score those goals. So I was pleased for Odsonne. I thought his performance all round against Leicester was very good. So there was no question of dropping him from the team just because it was JP who got the goal. But it was good, I think, that he could get his goal and top another good performance at Leeds with a goal this time. It was all right. Even if he hadn't scored that goal, I still would have been pretty satisfied with this performance. But he's got JP breathing down his neck and knocking at the door, expecting to play because he scores goals too. So at the moment, it's that classic scenario for a coach. It's a good problem to have because either player could go in the team, I believe, and either player could do what's necessary on the day of the game, provided he can produce a good performance personally on the day of the game.
And going into tomorrow, what kind of game are you expecting?
I don't know. I've given up a long time ago trying to work out what the game should look like. I think I'll wait there and see what happens. But we do know, as was asked earlier, I think Jeremy asked the question earlier, they need points more desperately even than we do because they're getting really divorced at the foot of the table. They don't have that many games with which to get those points, and so I think every team that faces Southampton in these last 8 games is going to find a team that's really fiercely battling to stay in the league. So we've got to be aware of that. But we were aware of that when we went to Leeds as well, to be fair, and we managed to deal with it. So let's hope we can find the wherewithal to deal with it again.
Just lastly, looking at the table, 6 points above the relegation zone at the moment. How many does it have to be before you can start to relax slightly?
Well, the classic answer, of course, is mathematically safe. But to be honest, these days, with so many teams involved, I'm pretty certain that teams that get themselves into what they consider to be a safe position will be able to talk about feeling comfortable about surviving without actually saying, well, I need to be mathematically safe. 3 points a win has put that mathematical safety theory, it's not out of the window, but it's been pushed very much to one side. But we know that the point total we've got at the moment is nowhere near enough. We've got to get more points in these 8 games, and one day I will hope to be sitting here with you asking the question, do you now feel that you're safe with this gap between you and the relegation zone? And there's a risk that I might answer it boldly. Yes, I do feel that way, but that's not the moment yet.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the broadcast section. Thank you.